Hello and welcome to chapter 28. Let's get right to it. We have a very beautiful and nice chapter ahead of us. To know the strong masculine principle, yet abide by the gentle female principle, is like being the valley of the world where all rivers will flow into. Alright, so we are talking about the masculine principle and the feminine principle. These are basically two significant forces or energies that we have here in our reality. And the masculine energy is an energy that's related to force and aggressiveness and being assertive, something of a more active, powerful nature, while the feminine force is considered to be something a bit more gentle, more passive, more feminine in general. All right, so these are the two forces, and the Tao, with its infinite wisdom, is talking about these two forces and how we are basically in a decision in our day-to-day life that we need to decide when to be more of a feminine energy and when to be in a more masculine energy. And what the Tao offers us or recommends us to do in that respect is to know the strong masculine principle, to understand this powerful force and ability, but to abide by the more gentle feminine principle. And that's basically the recommendation of the Tao. And they say it's like being the valley of the world where all rivers will flow into. All right, so what exactly does it mean? It's open to interpretation. It is a poetic metaphor, but it could mean that you are a valley which is a strong and powerful in potential. It has a potential to be very powerful and destructive. It has this ability, and yet usually it chooses to be in a more calm, passive, gentle energy that allows all the craziness of water. We already talked about water a lot in the Tao, and the craziness and the power of water can flow into it with the gentleness or something like that. So that could be the meaning of the valley of the world, and we'll see it again in this chapter. This is alike all virtue which will merge into the subtle Tao. So they are basically talking about all these rivers that are merged into the subtle Tao, the subtle flow, and it's similar to the Tao, the all-encompassing Tao, which is gentle and yet powerful. Being a valley of the world and not depart from the true nature, once can return to original pureness like an infant. Alright, so being in that way of being like a valley and not departing from our true nature, staying in our true nature, again, this idea of the Tao being our true nature, all of this is only us remembering who we really are. So, abiding to your true nature, one can return to this pureness, this original pureness, and using a metaphor of an infant, of basically going back to this beginning stage before you developed through your life, right? All these experiences that you had in your life that shaped you in a certain way, in the way that is your current way that you behave and your belief systems, etc. We are trying to go back to this infant stage of having no mental structures that were created by society and go into your true self. When one knows that the white that is splendor, yet holds on to the black that is humble and lowly, he can be a standard of the world. Alright, so again, we are talking again about this yin yang, about black and white, about masculine and feminine, again with this concept that we see again and again of these this polarity that the Tao, for some reason, chooses again and again to talk about this polarity. And I have another course that is called the Hermetic Extraterrestrial Teaching, and basically they are talking about an ancient, well, I'm talking about in that course, about an ancient teaching, the Hermetic teaching. And in this teaching, they also talk about the law of polarity, this idea of polarity that is inherent and a deep idea in our existence. Anyway, so the Tao also chooses to remind us again and again of this polarity, and it basically tells us that we need to know the white that is splendor and yet hold on to the black which is humble. Again, to know the masculine principle but abide to the feminine principle. This idea of trying to be both, but choosing one a bit more than the other, the calmer one, the more gentle one. Being a standard of the world and not deviate from true nature, one is able to return to the void of Tao. So again, with this repetition of giving us almost the same sentence, but this time, instead of returning to the original pureness like an infant in this sentence, we are returning to the void of the Tao, and they are trying to tell us that it's the same thing. The Tao is this original true self that we have. To know what is honor, yet abide by the dishonored, is like a valley of the world which is modest and humble. They keep reminding us of humility and humbleness. There was an entire chapter earlier about the importance of humbleness and the problem with arrogance, and it seems like such an important feature in Taoism that again and again they choose to remind us of this of the importance of being humble, and this conflict between the two polarities, to know what honor is but abide by the dishonored, meaning that you are with the Taoistic teachers, because of their wisdom, they already know that as a Taoist disciple, you will be surrounded by many dishonorable people and you need to abide by their laws to live in their society, but also know what honor is and never forget. Being the valley of the world makes possible the true virtue to be complete and sufficient, and hence can return to simplicity. All right, simplicity, that's another important principle of Taoism that we're seeing not for the first time. And it's all the same. It's returning to simplicity, to this state of infancy. That's what we're talking about here. When the nature of simplicity is being manifested, it results into various vessels. All right, so don't get too caught up with whatever particular manifestation you notice this simplicity being manifested at. Don't worry too much about the different vessels that this concept of simplicity chooses to manifest itself. Focus on the principles. And the main principle that we are talking about right now is simplicity. And by applying the pure simplicity, a saint can master all things. This is a hint. They are giving us this hint. They are telling us, listen, if you choose to follow this path and master and apply pure simplicity, you will be able to master all things. It's powers that will be granted to you if you choose to walk this path. Hence, the great Tao is a unified oneness which cannot be separated apart. At the end of the day, what they're trying to tell us is because the Tao can encompass both yin and yang, because it can be also the masculine and also the feminine, it's all encompassing and it's basically everything and yet nothing, the great void of the Tao.